Thank you so much. And Sarah, you have been a wonderful leader for Florida Teens Read. We really, really appreciate you. So I kind of had a plan to do these very mushy, outgoing remarks, and it went out the window because I talked to you guys the other day a little bit about Dixie District schools and about the challenge to intellectual freedom that we experienced from them. And Fame responded, but somebody else responded, and that is Lindsey Whittington. And she's here with us today, and I don't want to waste a second of me talking because she's going to share her experience with you directly, along with a very special guest who's also going to join her. So Lindsey, come on up.
Hello, Fame. So I just wanted to tell you guys that a week ago, I wasn't even a Fame member. I'm so excited, and I didn't have any clue that the Fame theme was to tell your story, but it's so apropos with what I have to say today. So my story begins the beginning of this school year when I'm the English department head at my school, and we had selected the novel A Lesson Before Dying by Ernest Gaines, which you probably are aware is in many high schools across the nation. And a parent complained, as you know probably happens in your school all the time, but instead of going to the teacher, they went straight to the superintendent and said, I don't want my child to read this because it uses the word brown nipple. Heaven forbid, we can't say these words in our schools. And so the superintendent came back and went to the teacher, and the teacher did what any normal teacher would do. They gave an alternate book, and we thought the issue was resolved. However, a week later, they said, we need you to come for a committee with the principal, the reading coach, myself, a couple of my English teachers, and we're thinking about pulling the book, which was about 2/3 the way in at this point. It was 100 pages past the initial incident of the one questionable scene, which the teacher had actually skipped when she taught it because she was reading it out loud to a group of struggling ninth graders, and she said she didn't feel comfortable reading that part, so she was just going to skip it because it didn't add or take away from the novel's content. And so she skipped it, and we unanimously decided as a committee that we would continue teaching the book because we thought it would hurt the students more not to get the lessons learned, which was the original intent of the book. And so we thought it was settled then. Well, the next day, a massive, broad directive, now it's been known as the draconian directive, made by my superintendent that stated as of September 8th, 2017, no library books, textbooks, instructional materials, classroom novels, etc., purchased and or used by the school district shall contain any profanity, cursing, or inappropriate subject matter. Yes. He said, not only did he say that, he also said, this reflects the values of the superintendent, the school board, and the community. And he threw it out there in an email. I got it in an email a week later. So I walk into the reading coach's office, and they all look at me, and they're like, aren't you so mad? What are you going to do? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I hadn't checked my email because I was too busy that day. So I pull up the email, and I read it, and I just was so mad. And then I was so disheartened. And then I had an idea because I knew that Banned Books Week was coming up the week after, and that was going to be the perfect avenue to launch my first silent protest in this matter. But so what we did was instantly word spread. First it spread in the local community. Then I started getting phone calls from organizations such as Fame. So I got called from ALA, from FLA, NCTE, and everyone has been doing what I call the literary blitz. They have been bombarding my school board and my superintendent with letters and phone calls, and she called, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing. And so it's crazy because it's still going on. It's actually happening ongoing right now. But what happened was we went to the school board meeting, and I decided, I was called and I was threatened and don't speak up, you're going to lose your job, why would you do this? And I said, I'm president of my teachers union, so I'm going to file a lawsuit if they try and retaliate. So I said, I'm the perfect person that can do this, because we talk about media specialists being on an island, and I am the only media specialist in my county. I'm a small county. I'm the only high school in my county. So I had no one to turn to and no one that was willing to help me speak up. But I didn't feel alone, because what organizations like FAME has done is that they have made me feel that I have people behind me that are willing to help me stand up. And so I now have new family members. I have Osham that has been so amazing to me, and Palm Beach County that said that I could move in with them, and Flagler and St. John's, and everybody that I've met this has been the best conference that I've ever been to in my life. And I go to a lot of conferences with the teachers union, but just to meet the level of wonderful people. So we went and spoke at the school board meeting. The 4 students got up, and before I continue, I would like you to hear one of those students that's here today to tell you her speech that she pled before the school board, and then we'll tell you a little bit more about an update. But this student, there is a negative perception right now about my county based on what my superintendent has done. And I want you to know that there's amazing instruction going on, and we have wonderful students in Dixie County. So we are not reflective of what the superintendent has done. But she is a AP scholar. She's passed 5 AP exams. She's received 2 5s, 4s, 3s on her exams, and she's now taking 4 more. And she plans to go to an Ivy League school, and she'll be the first one from Dixie County history to go to an Ivy League school. So without further ado, here's my wonderful, amazing student, Callista M. Brown.
So often, we try to avoid talking about the negative aspects of our country's past. It is permanently strewn with racism, wrongful persecution, and discrimination. One may believe that banning the book Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain would be the most effective method for ridding the minds of the youth of prejudiced thoughts, considering the constant theme surrounding slavery and racial discrimination, as well as the reoccurring use of the N-word. But upon further inquiry, this is not the case. Though Twain does not directly condemn these cultural strongholds of the antebellum South, his satirical approach to the subject does condone them. Twain's book was banned just 1 month after it was published in 1885. Critics even went so far as to call it not suitable for trash. Nevertheless, the public continued to purchase the book, and though it remains highly controversial over 130 years later, it is widely taught in not only American classrooms, but those across the world. This past summer, I was assigned to read the book for my AP Literature class. My opinion of the book after reading the first few chapters was drastically different compared to my opinion after finishing and discussing the underlying themes and criticisms in class. One cannot simply judge a book by its seeming face value. Books of literary merit, the ones stressed so much in a literature class, contain symbolism and deeper meanings concerning society and commonplace ideas. The same goes for other books I have read in my time within the Dixie School District. Books which carry with them in-depth concepts alongside controversial topics. Banning books which touch on inappropriate themes will not somehow salvage the minds of the youth. On the contrary, it will only keep us, maturing young adults, more in the dark about the threats of sexual harassment and discrimination, about prejudice and racism, about the issues of everyday life the majority of us could eventually become subject to in the future. By avoiding these touchy subjects, we are not only ostracizing and alienating possible future victims of societal wrongdoings from understanding that they are not alone in their struggles, but we are also missing out on the chance to educate our youth in an attempt to stop future perpetrators. Most of the authors of these controversial books were not promoting these negative concepts. Twain sought to criticize racism and slavery, not solidify it. Orwell wished to avoid a shift towards communism, not promote a socialistic utopia. And Swift desired to showcase the issues of classism and ethnic barriers, not support his modest proposal. Just as one cannot judge a book by its cover, the content of these books is much more than what we initially perceive. As the late President John F. Kennedy once said, "Let us welcome controversial books and controversial authors. Controversial books deserve a place in our school system." Thank you.
Isn't she wonderful? These are the type of kids that I get to deal with every day. I was her AP English language teacher last year, and it just brings me almost to tears every time I hear her speak. It's amazing. So you would expect a response from the school board after something like that, and I had 3 other students that spoke as eloquently as she did. And the superintendent did not say a word. The school board members stood there silently and then said, "We'll take this stuff into consideration." I was told afterwards in a session that they spoke about it when one of the members asked, "What are we going to do about this book ban?" He said, "I didn't ban any books." And those letters from those library companies, they're just librarians wanting to sell us books. That's what is coming out of this. So that was the first wave. We also put up banners all over the school, and I have been handing out banned books like crazy in the library. Going off of the back shelves, I just pass them out. I'm not even putting them in the system because I want to just hand them out and get them in the hands of as many kids as possible. So I gave my students in my Lang class this year a big banned books project, and we are now taking that to be displayed in our public library. So this has been, although you would expect that the superintendent would be more excited about this directive than I am, I'm actually probably way happier that this thing came out than he is, because it has done so much to promote reading, get kids excited and passionate about it, and also it has connected me with these amazing people, and I wouldn't have been able to come because I've never been able to come to an organization like this. We thought we didn't have the funding, and my principal, thank God, is so supportive, and she said, "We'll pay for you to go. We want you to go." And I just have to thank Elizabeth, who wrote my letter, and Andrea, who said, I said, "I don't think I can afford the hotel. They want me to pay for it." She's like, "Come stay in my suite. I have a suite. Come be my roommate. We'll have a sleepover." And that's just the kind and welcoming organization that you guys are. And so of course I joined, and I'm going to join all the others. And now I'm the co-chair of the Intellectual Freedom Committee for FAME, apparently. So it's very exciting. So as I came down here and was in my new librarian workshop, because I never got to attend one before, on Wednesday, my superintendent was being served with a grievance from my union, and I grieved the violation of academic freedom in my contract, and also him violating the challenge policy in my school board policy, because there is a policy for challenging materials, and it's not to be thrown in the consent agenda at the beginning of a school board meeting where no one can speak about it. That's the way it was passed, and that's not right. And I made sure to tell him that too. And so I don't know if I should say what's about to happen in the future, but we have several other things that are going on with this, and I believe it's going to be resolved in our favor. And so I just wanted to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, from Dixie District Schools, and just say that I'm happy to be here, and I can't wait for the future of my library, because now it's going to be so much better with everything I learned here, and then just having these connections. So thank you guys.
You see what happens when you tell your story? She was brave, and she told her story. and we get to walk away with the benefit.